Hello there YouTubers, Fuze here, and today I'm going to show you how to paint the Chaos Cultist from the Dark Vengeance set. A very fun model to paint, a beginner model. First things first, the paints I used. Steel Legion Drab, Mephiston Red, Lead Belcher, Balthazar Gold, Nuln Oil, Elsuan Grey, Rockart Flesh and Morfang Brown. You need to prime it with Chaos Black or Imperial Primer. For the top part I used Steel Legion Drab, just base coated. Then for the other parts of his robe I used Mephiston Red. You can use whatever paint you want, but make sure that you don't put everything in one paint, because then you're not going to see the top part and the essential robe. And of course his boots. Then for the metal parts I used Balthazar Gold and Lead Belcher. Lead Belcher on his gun, on his mask and the tube on his back, and Balthazar Gold on the tubes coming out of his mask, the lens and the MLA on his arm. Then I painted the leather parts with Mornfang Brown, so the straps around his arm, his boots, the strap on his gun, and the straps at the back of his head, and of course his belt. Then for the flesh parts or the skin parts I mixed two paints. I mixed a lot of Rockart Flesh with a little bit of Mornfang Brown. Otherwise, if you use a lot of Mornfang Brown you get a brown skin. You can use that, but I used my mix. Then the last thing you need to base coat is the bandages around his gun. At least I think it are bandages. You do that in Elthuan Grey. Now I'm going to show you how to wash the clothes and the gun, and also the wrapping around his fists, his boots, and the white bandage sort of thing on his gun. So basically you want to wash everything except the skin parts with Nuln Oil. So let's start. Just take some wash, then put it on there. You can wash it very heavy, so it gets a nice depth, or how you pronounce it. I'm not born with the English language, so I'm not good at it. So make sure it's very heavy washed, not too heavy but still. If it's too heavy you can solve it with dry brushing the clothes after it's done. Maybe I show you that. Also make sure you put one layer at a time. So if you want to do 2 layers of wash, make sure the first layer is dried. Otherwise you will see where the first layer ended and the second layer starts. It doesn't look that good. So I finished this up and show you how to dry brush then. I washed every part except the skin parts with Nuln Oil. It looks good, as you can see. The next part is optional. As a beginner this is a great model, as it's now in this state. If you think the skin parts are too pale, you can use some Agrex Earth Shade. It's another shade. It's a shade. To give the skin parts a bit darker look. Now I'm going to do a detail. You don't have to do it, it's optional. So for the ropes, you can either dry brush it or highlight it. I prefer dry brushing, it's a much faster way to do it, and I suck at highlighting, so I'll also show you how to do it. Basically, you get the paints. I suggest you get the base paints for the clothes, because this is a beginner tutorial. Make sure your brush isn't too wet, and you take a bit of paint on your brush, of course. Then you go on the paper, you make like the circular movement. I fucked that up. And get most of the paint off. If you want to know if your dry brush is good, you can do this sort of thing. Then you look at your skin, because why did I do that? Your skin is made of particles and there are some lines between it, and if you do this, you make the dry brushing movement, and if the paint doesn't get in those lines, then your dry brush is good. So I started again. Here, circular movement. Test it, looks good to me. Then you go to your model, and then you make this movement from top to down, not from bottom to top, because then the shadows aren't right. Because remember, the light is on top of it, the light source is on top of it. So you just go like this. I'm a beginner myself, so yeah, it's an easy technique. Silda has some special dry brushing paints. I haven't used them before, but as you can see, you can still use normal paints. So if you now look at this, you'll see it's much more lighter, and the shadows are much more lighter, and this looks better than with only the shades on it. So that's for the scarf part of the top part, or the top part, sorry. Yes, I'm a Belgian, so sometimes I accidentally say some Dutch words. Clean your brush, then you can move on to the red. Close this one. Again, the circular movement. Make sure most of your paint is off it. Testing again. Oh, great. Then again from top till down. Again, the circular movement. Testing. Also, if you see you have hit another area, then the area you must dry brush, you can go over it again with the base paint, it's not that bad. Sorry, I've went out of the camera view. Basically I just did this, so, and I fucked up here. So this is what you get when you have too much paint on your brush. You can fuck it up. Oh well, it's just a detail. Luckily it's underneath it, so you can go over to the shades, nobody will see it. But yeah, so there you have it. The only thing you can do is the base. For a base I don't use any of those expensive sands. I just use Astrogranite. Astrogranite is a texture paint, very easy to work with. You just take some of the paint on your brush and then go over it, and you can shape the base as you want. You can make the boots more dirty, and then I go over it with Acrylic Air Shade and it looks great. I'm gonna show you. This is another model, so you got a nice rocky bottom. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can paint a model as this, or even better. And I hope to see you forward in another video.